Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 3 p.m. here in Chicago. That means it's time for another live stream. Today is Sunday, February 21st, 2021. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Everyone listening in on the podcast version, welcome. Hopefully you're having a good run. And everyone watching this on YouTube after the fact, not live, welcome. So glad to have you here as well. Hope you guys are enjoying it. And to everyone who's here, hope you guys had a good run today. Let me know how you guys did. If you did your long run today or yesterday, I'd love to hear about that, especially if you are new. Welcome, everybody. I had a really nice, easy run today. Sunday are usually my easy run after my workouts on Saturday, although that schedule is going to change coming up here a little bit as I get deeper into my training plan. But just some nice, easy miles, but here's a weird thing that happened to me. I was running a little bit late. Not late, just because sometimes getting out the door takes a little bit longer, and I was a little bit rushed. And I forgot for the first time in probably the last 90 runs, I forgot to do my my mobility routine before I went out. And I didn't realize it until I was 2 miles into the run. I was like, oh wait, I didn't warm up today. So it was just completely weird. And I will say that in the strides that I had built into my my easy run for today, my hamstrings felt a little bit tight during one of them. And then I kind of backed off on the rest of them, just, making sure I'm still getting some turnover, working on running pretty, which is the main thing that I focus on. But I felt a little bit tight on that hamstring. Fortunately, it wasn't a big thing. By the end of the run, I was feeling fantastic. But making sure to do some extra mobility work today, making sure the glutes stay activated and everything. So it was just a really weird way to start the day. Just completely forgot. But hopefully everyone else is doing well. Lewis says, what's going on? Finished giving food to his puppies. Wow. 11 puppies? Is that right? And now waiting for the live stream to start. That's a lot of puppies. Ines says, hey, Kofuzi and everyone, had a 10K with Pip in the sun today. Much milder weather here now. And Pep had a 5K earlier with Emma as well. That's a busy dog. A very busy day. That's awesome. David Prabhu's here, says happy Sunday. And Philip says good day, everyone. And he did a 15K run. So same as Pip, I guess, adding that together. 15K run around the lake during the sunrise and an 8K recovery walk through the forest right before sunset. That's really nice. What a great way to bookend the day. And obviously both with Laura, the dog, and she fell asleep almost 2 hours ago. Nice. Isn't it nice when you can wear out a dog? It's hard to do, but when you can wear out a dog, it's just really nice. It's really nice to see that. Very cool. Very cool. JC says, hey, everyone. Hope you had a good, safe weekend. Had a 5K prediction race this morning and second most accurate. Yeah, me. Tell me more about that. What's a prediction race? I don't know what that means. I'm curious. All right. Sean Marshall's here. What's going on, Sean? Good to see you again. And Sarah Mims says, hi, all. Just finished cycling. I'm on a 3-week of no running due to groin muscle pull. Any tips on speeding up this injury are much appreciated. And she can walk and cycle, but not run. I don't know. I don't know that I would try and rush it. It's been a long time since I feel like I've had any kind of groin muscle issues, but it always just seemed like a easily re-aggravatable injury to me. It's one of those that tends to linger. So I would just make sure you take care of it and not rush it coming back. And if you can still cycle, I would say spend a lot of time cycling for now. But maybe some other people have more recent or more detailed experience than I do. For me, it's been a while since I've had that issue come up. All right, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, guys, so I can stay a little bit more current with everyone that's here. All right, Matt coming in with a running comment says, Co. And this is all caps, everybody. Co, I feel we're expecting too much from running shoes. Energy return, 4%, next percent, propulsion plates. We expect too much from shoes and not enough from ourselves. Well, I think we can expect a lot. I mean, yes, we are expecting a lot from the shoes, but I also feel like Wesley Snipes and Demolition Man. This is the future. Where are all the laser weapons? I forget the exact lines, but this is 2021. I'm expecting a lot from shoes, especially for the prices that they're asking for them. So I feel like I am expecting a lot, but I don't think that those two things are mutually exclusive. I don't think that because I expect a lot from a shoe that I can't expect a lot for myself. So I think that the better thing to say is we need to expect more from ourselves than we expect from our shoes. But I understand the point that you're saying. Joy Del Rosario says, Kofuzi, have you ever taken breaks from running? If so, how long have you taken off? I used to take a lot of breaks from running. This was before I had a lot of consistency. Right now I don't. I don't really take too many breaks from running. After a marathon, I might take like an easy couple of weeks where just whatever I feel like running by minutes, but not by mileage or pace or anything like that. Just saying I'm going to go out for 30 minutes today. I'm going to go out for 45 or whatever. So I might do something like that, just kind of reset and recover from a harder race effort. But, ever since a few years ago, I haven't really taken very long breaks from running. I wouldn't take more. Right now, I think part of it is I really enjoy running and I don't want to take a break from it. So a lot of people say I come back from a marathon too fast, but I just like doing it. So, I want to run more, but I know that a lot of like the professional runners after a big race, they'll take like a 2-week vacation, kind of like a normal person would take their 2 weeks vacation all at once, like in the summertime or something. And they'll do that where there'll be almost no running or very little, right? Maybe just some easy running here and there when they feel like it, kind of thing. So I wouldn't really let that go much longer than 2 weeks. But so that's something that I would think about doing if you want to take a break from it. The other thing that you can do is, instead of taking one long break, is to back up on the intensity. If you're not actively training for a race, is to just back up on the intensity. Maybe like, a couple of days, like 1 day a week of your runs, just make it real short. Go out for, like half the distance that you might normally go out for like a regular day run. And just feel fresh. Just feel good. Feel really good at the end of the run, and do that 1 or 2 extra times a week. And you might take a hit on mileage, but at least you're still being consistent and, focusing on easy miles. So that's another way that I would look at it. Let's see. Dr. Josh is here. What's going on, Josh? He says, what up, Kofuzi fam? Or as he would say, what up, Kofuzi fam? I love the way he says that. Shannon says, hey, friends. I know you said just yesterday that people on the internet are always telling you what you're doing wrong with training, but I just took 2 rest days in a row, and I felt like Des on my run today. I think that there's something magic, though, about 2 rest days in a row. And I think that there's not enough taper plans. When people write taper like schedules, before I really started to very much overthink things and reading a lot of books on it, my favorite way to taper for a race was to like just really think about it like the week of the race, do everything pretty easy, and then take 2 off days in a row and then race. And I feel like no one really does that because people always are worrying about staying sharp. But for me, that's kind of worked, and maybe I'll bring that back. I don't know. The hard thing is now these days I want to go I like to travel for races and hopefully meet up people at the race. And so they're trying to do that shakeout run with 2 days rest. It's kind of hard to schedule that. So, doing like a 3 mile, like 10 minute per mile shakeout run is usually kind of similar. But yeah, 2 rest days is pretty magical. There's something about it that I really agree with, but I rarely take 2 rest days in a row anymore. Maybe it's something I need to bring back. Reed Barakat says, Ultra Boost 21 or New Balance 1080 version 11. Which one will you pick? Wow, that is a video that I'm planning on making. It probably won't come out for a week though. I still have to do the testing. I've only still run in the Ultra Boost once, so I'd like to run it in it again before I give that answer. But preliminarily, I'd probably pick the 1080. But I like to run with the 2 shoes within like 2 days of each other. Ideally, like in subsequent days, but within a couple of days is what I like to do, just to make sure like the run experience in both is fresh. I generally try not to make a video where I was like, well, I kind of did that with the 1080 version 11 intro, like the first run video, where I was like, I haven't run in the 1080 V10 in like over 12 or 13 months, but I'm going to compare it to the 1080 version 11. That always gets tough because you're like, well, here's what I remember. So, but we'll do that video. That'll be coming up probably in about, I'm not sure exactly what date it is, but in less than a week from today is when it'll be out. Adam JK says, first run after 3 weeks out with a calf problem today. Super short, but felt good. That's right. That's a nice way to do it. Keep it short, make it feel good, make sure you're feeling good at the end. Really nice work. Awesome. Albert Long says, wore the 1080 version 10 yesterday. I enjoyed them a lot more now that I have about 60K in them. Seems like the foam broke in, did some 100-meter strides at them too, and they felt great. Yeah, here's the thing. Like, I don't remember the 1080 version 10 really breaking in all that much. But, I'm thinking about like my experience with the version 11 versus what I remember of the 1080 version 10. And maybe there was a little bit of a break-in with that shoe. It could be. But if I remember, based on what I'm remembering, I think I liked it before, like pre-break-in, than I did post-break-in a little bit more. Kind of like the opposite of like the Nova Blast. But yeah, I don't know. I think I suspect that what I'm going to feel from the 1080 version 11 is similar to, like, is going to be very consistent all the way through, but also very similar to kind of like later miles perhaps in the 1080 version 10. So that's kind of where I'm at on that one. I had a really good run in the version 11 today. So it was like even better than it was the first time I ran in them. So it leads me to some thoughts. And so tomorrow's video, I'll talk about tomorrow's video. Tomorrow's video is going to be actually another workout video. But then the day after that, so Tuesday's video is going to be the Invincible versus the 1080 version 11. And they're very close. They're very, really close, surprisingly close. But there are some nuances and some differences that took me a minute to kind of figure out. So I'm pretty excited about that one. I think that'll be an interesting video. All right. Let's see. Someone was saying something else following up on Matt's point. Where'd it go? Oh man, I just had it and then it jumped on me again. Kurt says, here it is. Do we overthink our shoes? I felt the New Balance 880 version 9 was way worse than the version 10. Went out and ran with one on each foot and couldn't tell the difference even though one was lighter than the other. That's interesting. Yeah, here's the thing though. I wonder if what running with one shoe on, I don't know if you guys can hear that. I can hear the baby. She's screaming. She's got a lot of tired energy today. We've been wearing her out. And so like sometimes when kids get tired, they just start screaming a lot, like randomly for no reason. That's the state that she's in right now. But I wonder if the reason why you felt like you couldn't tell the difference between the two shoes on each foot is because maybe your brain was telling you you're feeling like your brain was maybe canceling that out. I wonder, just because we're not used to having two different shoes on. You know what I mean? Like, I think that there's a reason why, like, putting one shoe on each foot isn't a thing, right? I've seen people do it and try it, right? To say like, we're going to try the Pegasus 36 versus the Pegasus 37 and put one shoe on each foot and try doing that. On two shoes, those sneakers are very different. But I suspect that your brain would, like, I don't know, maybe there's like some sort of like study that could be done on this, but my hypothesis would be, I guess really my speculation at this point would be that your brain is canceling out the differences in your own mind. I don't know, it could be. But I haven't run in the version 9 or version 10 of the 880, so I can't comment for sure. But, we might be overthinking our shoes a little bit. But then again, when I put on a pair of shoes I don't like, it just doesn't work. I tried to make that Ultra Torn 4.5 plush work. It didn't work. So, I mean, I don't know. All right. Let's see. What's we got here? And Steven Gerzer says, in terms of like making sure you're feeling good at the end of the run, he says, always stop your training runs with a feeling that you could do more. Definitely good advice. I felt that way today. Today was one of those days where I was like, oh man, I did run more than I was planning on running 7 or 8 miles today. Ended up running 10. And when I was done, I was like, oh man, if only I had time for another hour's worth of running. I'd love to put on another hour today. I did an hour and a half. I was like, oh, it would have been a good day for a nice long run, a real long run, but it's not in the plan. And I think my body's getting a little bit beat up from doing a lot of this speed work. So, yeah. But yeah, I felt it's a good kind of general rule to have. All right. Let's see. Shot. Martha says, Kofuzi, all I've done before major races is an easy shakeout, exactly like you described, 3 days before, 2 days rest, and work so far. Oh, so Martha, you've been doing that. Interesting. Nice. See, I might bring that back. Maybe I'll do a shakeout run with a group of people if I could do like a meetup. But other than that, maybe I'll do 2 days, just 2 days off. Maybe this I don't know. See, for this AK, it's virtual. So I don't know if I'll plan 2 days off. Here's what I was thinking with the 8K. It's a virtual race. So the nice thing about that is I could do it at any point over the weekend. And so I'm thinking maybe I'll pick out which day has better weather. And so like if I plan out 2 days rest and then it turns out that like say Saturday is not the good day, then I might end up with 3 days rest. And that seems weird. That seems like a long time, but maybe not a bad experiment either. So I don't know. Maybe I'll try it. Tiba says, speaking of taking a break, I had to take a week break because Texas snow and my legs never felt better yesterday and today. Yeah, I mean, it's like people have been saying that. I mean, one, it just goes to the beauty of like, you know, if we don't call it a taper, but end up tapering, you know, it ends up, we realize how beneficial and how great we feel. Because normally everyone just feels like, I tapered. I did it fine, you know, but you're never like, oh, I felt great. I felt ready to race. You rarely hear people say, I did a taper. My legs felt so good afterwards. You know, like it's just weird how we see it that way. But like the right amount of rest over the course of a week can make you feel really great when you step up to a line or when you finally get back to running. And hopefully you're doing okay, Tiba, with all the snow and the cold situation for you. But yeah, I mean, I think it's time for me, at least for sure, to rethink taper. I'm not going to call it taper. I gotta call it something else. Taper has such a lot of weight to it, a lot of complexity to it. That I don't think that is something that I've been definitely overthinking. Bert says, I prefer not to run in the week of the race, just loading up on carbs and fill the muscles. Like at all? You don't run at all the week of the race? That's crazy. All right. Ben Browning says the Australia Pfizer jab start today after political PR vaxes on Sunday for the messaging. Awesome. Excellent news. That's fantastic. Stuart Coates is here, says, good evening. What's going on, Stuart? I love the Kung Fu Panda. I love that. He's got that as his avatar. Right. Ben Browning says, Mike, do your kids want to braid your hair into a ponytail? My wife gave me a French braid the other day. It didn't end up working very well. It all kind of fell out. I don't know. My hair isn't amenable to like that kind of hairstyle. I guess it's just very thick. It doesn't agree with it. And a while ago, I mean, this was even before I went to Iowa, so this was like more than 7 or 8 months ago at this point. They put my hair in curlers, and that actually kind of worked. It was kind of funny to do that. So we might do that again because the girls have been really into curlers lately. So they've been doing that with regularity. I really enjoy when they do curlers because one, my wife does it. The girls don't want me to do it. They want their mom to do it, you know? And so like I get like that post bath break. I mean, my wife usually does the baths anyway. So I get a very long kind of like break in the evening to kind of get some stuff done. And I think it just really relaxes the children to put their hair up in curlers. So it's nice. I mean, I can speak from experience. Having someone put curlers in your hair after you've taken a shower is like really nice. It's very calming. All right. Sean Marshall says, here's something else. I was looking for this. Here's where it is. And then I'm going to have to scroll down again because I'm way far behind. Sorry, guys. Sean says, Mike, ask your friends about this, and I'm curious about your answer. What's your fantasy shoe? Razor cannot exist as one shoe. Mix and match, midsole, outsole, upper, stack, and drop. Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that like people are always like, what's the one shoe that you would have? I'm not that's not like my favorite question because I like very like specific shoes, you know. But of late, something that I have been thinking a lot about is like the ZoomX Invincible with a different upper on it. And right now, like the ZoomX Invincible midsole with the 1080 version 11 upper, I think would be pretty fantastic. And I think Ben Johnson put together a Photoshop mock-up of it. He put the Zoom Fly, and he put the Epic React Flyknit upper on top of the Zoom X Invincible, and it looked great. And like that's kind of what I would want. I also really love some of like the earlier Vapor Max uppers. They just look fantastic on just any other shoe other than the Vapor Max, something that I can actually run in. So I think those would be fun. I mean, I just love Flyknit, and I love the knit materials when it's done well. I just also would love to try. Do you remember there was the Vaporfly, like it was like the Elite, Vaporfly Elite or something like that? It was like a 3D printed upper. And Nike only made like 100 of them or something like that. It was really weird. They did it so I think they did it so that way they could give Elliot a pair to try and run in for a race at some point. But it was a really limited run. And it was like basically molded, not off of like a standard last, but it was molded off of like Elliot's foot, I think. That was a really weird shoe. I think the retail on it was like $1,300 or something. It was crazy. But I'd like to have one of those. But yeah. And then outsole, I don't really think about outsoles all that much. There's no outs. I can't think of a single outsole pattern where like I just love that outsole. No, I don't really think about the outsoles. I'm trying to think about it, and then stack and drop. I don't know. It depends on the mids. Like I guess the answer to number 4 depends on number 1, but I usually like I'm loving 6 to 8 millimeter drops right now. Not that it matters to me all that much, because again, it depends on the midsole too. I feel like there's a drop like measured when the shoe is sitting like on a table and you've got calipers out, and then also an apparent drop. Like, what does it feel like when your foot's actually in it and there's like a human being's weight in the shoe? That makes it feel different. But maybe I'm splitting hairs or imagining things. But I'd say I don't know. I did really like all signs always point back to the Nike Pegasus 33 Shield. I just love that shoe and just the design of it. So I don't know. That's probably like my fantasy shoe, except it does exist, but that's a pretty fun one. I'm trying to think what else. I don't know. Right now, what seems like, it basically is a fantasy shoe is, here's another one that I think I could do, would be like, perhaps like, this is kind of a little bit of a change, switching up what you're talking about. Like, I would love to have like a Meta Racer upper in yellow, Kill Bill yellow. And then like the RC Elite, the FuelCell that's in that with the outsole pattern that's on that, nice and grippy, but with like a really stiff carbon plate, like in the Rocket X. Not the Rocket, Carbon Rocket. I don't know if that was like double carbon or what. It was super thick. That was like super rigid and very bouncy. Like that would be a super fun shoe, I think. That'd be a lot of fun. I think it would look amazing. All right. Yeah. Let's see. Ben Browning wants to know, Mark, are you using a GoPro Hero on the run shots? Is Hero 9 too big or okay? I am using, right now, the 2 main cameras I'm using are the GoPro Hero 9 and the Insta360 One X2, which is a very strange mouthful to say. But those are the 2 cameras that I'm using. I usually only bring 1 camera at a time. I very rarely bring 2 cameras with me. And if I do, it's usually because I'm testing 2 cameras. But the Hero 9, it's probably the biggest GoPro ever, other than like the 360 cameras. I don't know. Am I wrong on that one? I think it's the biggest, heaviest GoPro they've ever made. But it's also the best GoPro they've ever made. So it's heavier. I wish they would get lighter, but it's still very manageable for sure. Farrah's here. What's going on, Farrah? Hopefully doing well. She says the snow is finally all gone and water is drinkable again. Oh, amazing. It's a good day. And also able to get a run in today. Yeah. Can you imagine though, like if you lived, if you're going through everything that people are going through in Texas right now, but you had like a significant other in the house that's like, I'm still going to get my run in today anyway. And there just like, was like, not only was there not like water to really drink, but not also not water to bathe in. And you just had someone that was like running for like a week and not taking any showers. It would just be miserable. Oh man. But But I'm glad to I'm super glad to hear it, Farah, that you've got some drinkable water again. That's great news. I'm glad to hear you're all right. David Linson says, you need to look at Han shoes after this. Carbon plate shoe, but nothing like you would expect. Apparently reduces injury chance. Yeah, I've seen those. I don't know. It just looks like it reminds me a lot of On Cloud. It reminds me a lot of Nike Shocks. It reminds me of a lot of things that I'm looking at it with I'm just very skeptical about it. I don't know. I think I need to see someone else running in it first. I'm not sure about that one. Largo Anto 1 says, what do you think about the New Balance Rebel version 2 reviews? Do you think it'll stand up to the hype? I haven't read any reviews. I've heard Thomas talking about them a lot, because if you consume any other like Thomas Believe in the Run content, he's just been raving about this shoe. And will it live up to that hype? I think probably yes. I think probably yes. So I'm very excited about that shoe because of him. Otherwise, I was just kind of like, I might get to it. I'm not. I'm like, it looks great, but like I was looking at it before, and I was just like, yeah, I'll get. Before I was like, I'll get to it eventually. Now I want it. So that kind of changes things. Martha says about break-in. A lot of people have been talking about break-in. I've been talking about break-in a little bit. I don't think any shoe should require break-in, especially 25 or 20 miles. It's too big a percentage of lifetime when so many shoes are great out of the box. I agree. I definitely agree. And I feel like you should be able to take a shoe out of the box and run a marathon in it for the most part. But I will say that there are some shoes that do change character. I wouldn't call it like break-in is not like, I mean, I feel like if it's something that happens after like 50 miles, it's not break-in. That's how the shoe wears down, over time. That's like it's a life cycle. That's kind of how I see it. So like whenever people are like, oh, you didn't like that Clifton? Yeah, but you got to wait 50 miles for it. I'm like, no, that's not break-in. That's way past break-in. So like I agree with what you're saying, Martha. But I will also kind of like recognize that I do think that some shoes do change over time. I think that, racing shoes, you see that drop off like pretty quick, but it's usually not huge. But like, there's some shoes where, it just doesn't hold up. The experience. I mean, yeah, all foams degrade, but like certain shoes become very different after like in that 50 to 100 mile period. And I feel like you shouldn't really see a huge difference. And when I do, it's it's something that I definitely tend to note. But yeah, I'm generally with you on that one, Martha. Or I'm pretty much 100% with you on that one. She meant 25 instead of 25 to 20. 25 to 40 miles is what she meant. Yeah. Sean says, as Mike said, we are living in the future. Yeah. All right. Steve says, watch out for toe blisters on the Invincible. Myself, Ed, and lots of people commented the same on Strava. That's interesting. I think I've got 30 miles in mine so far. I'm not sure. I think I'm at about 30 miles. And so far it's been so good. It just kind of feels like, it doesn't feel like flying it. I will tell you that. But for me, it just feels kind of like a normal, like Nike upper. Like that's kind of like the vibe I get from it. Nothing that like, it's not like super fancy, like the Vaporfly, like the Next Percent uppers or the Alpha Fly uppers. It's just like a Nike generic running shoe upper. That's kind of what I feel from it. But I mean, hopefully I will continue to not know what you guys are talking about because I don't want to get any blisters, but we'll see. It's definitely something I saw that I had mentioned that, but I'll definitely keep an eye out for it. Sean Marshall says, how many shoes does a runner need? The answer is always one more. Funny. Matt says, I finally got my Garmin recovery visor to indicate I need more than 50 hours of recovery a good day. We were talking about trying to peg that number as high as we could. Good job. Well done. All right. Nicholas Tatro says, what's a good shoe for an older runner, 70s, for whom 10:30 a mile is top end? Not easy to get good advice in the age category, but doing 3 to 5 mile runs regularly and feeling good. So 3 to 5 mile runs regularly, feeling good. So I'm thinking your mileage is probably like about 20, 25 miles a week, something like that. I think the 1080 version 11 that we've been talking about, or the version 10, the one that came before it, would be a great option. The Nike Invincible that we're also talking about, I love that shoe. Also would be a really good option for you. Yeah, for you, I would be thinking about, things that are in the daily trainer and perhaps the max cushion category. I'm not going to assume because of your age that you need extra cushion. So unless you need extra cushion, then maybe you look at the max cushion category. But other daily trainers that I think would be really good would be like the Clifton 7, which I think is a really great shoe. Ride 13. Those are other ones that I just really enjoy. So, yeah. Wants to know, is he answering questions? I am answering questions, but sometimes I ramble and it takes me a long time to get to them. I'm really, really sorry. So, and sometimes I have to scroll down because then I realize I'm like 20 minutes behind you guys. So I will try to get to that question. All right. It says, I still don't know what shoe to pick. Let me see if I can find where the question is. Yeah. Can you tell me which ones you're picking between? Or is it or I can't tell with the way that's spelled. I don't know. In the meantime, Sam Stevens says 1080 version 10 versus the Invincible. I'd say the Invincible over the version 10. The version 10 was a little bit heavy, in my opinion. It wasn't like prohibitively heavy, but and most people aren't going to get them wet. But when I got that shoe wet, it just became like sacks of water that I was running in. But even when dry, the shoe was a little bit on the heavy side. All right. Oren says, it's my 5th day of 6 weeks of veganism today. So far, so good. Felt amazing on my 15K long run today. That's great, Oren. Amazing. Wow. See, I don't think I could give up the eggs and dairy. I'm sure I could. If I was like, I'm going to do this. I guess I just don't want to because I enjoy those foods so much. But I also would worry that I would I know there are many other sources of plant proteins, but I would also worry about, for me, the eggs and dairy are an easy source of proteins that I have in my diet. So, but that's amazing. And you're feeling good on a 15K long run. Nice. I hope it's working well for you. Awesome. Dr. Funk 1216 wants to know which New Balance shoe is best for mowing the lawn. I would say, the 880 I think is probably a good choice for that because it's got a lot of rubber outsole coverage. Very thick, lots of grooves in there. I think you get pretty good grip on there. But New Balance also has a lot of trail shoes. I'm not familiar with a bunch of their trail shoe line, but I think some of their trail offerings could be pretty good. I would think it would probably be pretty good for mowing the lawn. That's funny. Yeah. Martha says the best New Balance for mowing the lawn is a Mizuno. That's funny. Oh man. All right. And Mike Sherman says plant protein has very poor absorption. I wasn't aware of that. So I'll have to look that up. Interesting. Dr. Josh says we need to invent a shoe that can regenerate. There was a time where I was like, I don't know, like I was just like, I guess I'm still kind of enamored with ZoomX foam, but there was a time that I swore that my next percents were regenerating. And this was because I ran in them in the Tunnel Marathon, which is on like a dirt road down a mountain. Super fun race. But like, I remember looking at my shoes immediately after the race, and it was like someone took like a knife and like just poked it on the bottom. And then I looked at them again like 2 weeks later, And I felt like a lot of that had kind of like come back. And I was like, what is happening with this shoe? It's regenerated. So I don't know, maybe, but that'd be interesting. But then what would happen if you didn't run in it like for a while? Would you just have just like a ton of shoe at the bottom? How would it know when to stop regenerating? That'd be the thing. Josh says you could call it the Weapon X. Yeah, I think you would just call it like the tumor. That's what I would think. That's because I'd be worried that if you let it run too long, it would just become bulbous and overgrown. Sam Steven wants to know, do Invincible actually reduce injury? They did the tests on Infinity React, so it's all a bit confusing. Swing to the New Balance 1080s. Yeah, I believe in the marketing, there's an asterisk by all the reduced injury because I don't think that the statements have been evaluated by the FDA. Not that I think that the FDA has like jurisdiction over shoes anyway, but I remember seeing that there was some sort of like one of those like the same thing they put on like vitamin supplements when it says like immunity booster, that kind of thing. So I think it's like in that sense, and I haven't looked at any of the data as far as like the reducing injury thing. And for me, that's kind of a throwaway statement. It's like, that's interesting marketing, but it doesn't sway me one way or the other. It wouldn't be a reason why I buy it. Although perhaps it is something I need to take another look at because I do think a lot of people will be making purchasing decisions based on that. Josh says, it's not a tumor. And he does say, though, I think this is a good place to look. We have to study the starfish. That's interesting. Yeah. Stephen Crusoe was saying regenerative foam would be either nanotech or biotech. Perhaps. And Ben White says, ooh, like a midsole that grows like fingernails. Oh. Can you, like, you're running? I mean, I like running on keratin, but like, I can just imagine it being clacky. Oh, that's getting very, very, very gross. I can't remember. Brad says the only thing that reduces injury is high fructose corn syrup. I don't know if that's a joke or if that's serious. Either way, it's funny. Yeah. I can't remember who does it. Regenerating shoes, those are called hooves. That's funny. That's really funny. Yeah. All right. Sean Marshall is coming back with his fantasy mock-up shoe. Just imagine for me out loud, the Endorphin Speed midsole, Continental outsole, and Reebok Row upper. That'd be comfortable. That'd be really comfortable. I'm liking the idea. If we can switch out the laces from those like green, like super puffy laces, maybe, because those I felt like it made it really hard to kind of like take the shoe seriously a little bit because they were so floppy. And they looked like vines, which I think was the intent. But but yeah, I mean, but the thing is, I haven't looked at the Endorphin Speed and been like, if only it gripped better. You know what I mean? Maybe you had a different experience with it than me, but putting Continental on the outsole of, I mean, for me, like trying to do some of these faster workouts in some of these like somewhat snowy, somewhat slippery conditions has definitely had me thinking like, I've been loving the CTM Ultra Carbon. I've been loving the RC Elite because it's got like those weird like nubbins on the outside of the on the outsole of the shoe that have just been pretty nice to try to run fast in. So now I'm like, I think some more shoes need some Continental rubber. But yeah, I like that idea. All right. Matthew wants to know, have you tried the Reebok Float Ride 3 yet? I haven't. Here's the thing. So I keep getting the Instagram ads on it. And there's a women's version that's like all like a white on white upper with like a slightly gray midsole. I want that one. That one looks so good. But they don't make that color for men. And I'm like, can I just get the women's? Because I really want that one. The men's ones all look okay. The men's ones just look like Reeboks. Nothing wrong with that. But just looks like a regular shoe. The all white one looks amazing, and that's the one I want. So I'm kind of waiting to see if another color comes out. Maybe one will come up soon. Dr. Funk says, I'm happy to report the Martin 100 Calf 100 gel tastes terrible. It's a little, I mean, I feel like it's like the regular gel, but bitter. There's like a bitterness to it, like a chemicaliness to it. I think it's the caffeine, but yeah, there's a different taste to it as well. I also feel like maybe it's the white packaging that does it for me, but I feel like, did they try to put a hint of vanilla in this? That's kind of the other flavor that I wasn't sure that I was tasting. Jody says you need a shoe that has a dial and adjust to what run you're doing, like Soft for long run, Mizuno for lawn mowing, and Under Armour for not really running. That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, that is very funny. Kind of like the BOA system, but maybe for the outsole, like the lugs can get deeper or like retract back inside. So maybe like a sliding system. So they slide like they would come out at an angle like this. Click, 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 and then you got more tread, and then click, 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 and now it's back to like road shoe. That'd be kind of interesting. That'd be fun. That'd be fun. I mean, either way, you're still running on all that rubber, but like, I don't know. That'd be a fun idea. All right. Ben Browning wants to know, question, Mike. Any new stuff in the pipeline from 361 Degrees? Road Trail Run, tried the 361 Plated Racer, a Next Percent Adidas Boston mashup. Is it really? I keep an eye on what they're doing. I'm interested in what they're doing, but there's nothing that's really jumping out at me on it for 361. Maybe it's time to give them a look. But like, if I do, I'd probably look at, and I think I mentioned this at other times too, that I'd probably maybe look at both simultaneously, because I don't want to just look at a racer from a company. Unless I have to, like with Craft. But since they have like daily trainers and a racing shoe now, maybe I could look at both. The other thing is I have a problem with the name 361 Degrees. I don't understand the name. I mean, maybe I just need to look into it more. Maybe I'll understand it. But like, in other words, it's just 1 degree different. Is that what we're saying with 361? That's always the weird thing. It's like when people are like, yeah, we made a 360-degree change. We changed everything. And it's like, you mean you made a 180-degree change, So I'm having a hard time understanding the 361, but I could put that aside because it's like Skechers Performance. What does that mean? Who knows? All right. Ben Browning says, just get the women's. All right. Maybe. And Sean says, Birkenstock is coming out with Jesus runners in 2022, I hear. I mean, if that's a joke or real, either way, I think that's awesome. Basically, is it like a Croc with sport mode? Is that what they're doing? I mean, I think that's pretty amazing. Yeah. Doctor says there's the Bowflex running shoe. Is there a Bowflex running shoe? I'm not sure about that. That sounds interesting. Neat Penguin wants to know, like, a video idea: men versus women's shoes, just size up, down, or how different are they? Yeah, I think that'd probably be a really good question for me to ask. Like, if I ever got to interview an industry person, like, I could do some research on it, but like, I feel like getting someone with some industry experience would really make that video more interesting. Because then otherwise I'm like, here's the stuff I Google searched, guys. Because like, well, my understanding is, so for the Pegasus 37, they did it differently. The men's and women's is different, where like the PSI of the Zoom airbag was different depending on the two runners. And then for certain shoes, the heel drops are different, right? So like, those are minor changes. But there are some, I mean, in other industries, like in women's, like in basketball shoes, for example, for a long time, and I think this is still the case for some of them, there's less technology in the women's version. So in a lot of cases, like the women's version will have as much technology as like the big kids version of a shoe. So not only is it just different sizing, built on different lasts based on like women's feet. So it's not like you can't just convert and be like, okay, if I'm a US men's 9, I can get a 10.5 women's and I'll be fine. I think like the shape of the toe box, all that kind of stuff is slightly different for a lot of shoes, but I think that for unisex shoes, then clearly they're not doing that. But I think for like some basketball shoes, like if there was like air in like the front and the back, for example, the women's would only have it in the back, so that was something that was pretty common. I don't know if it still is. And I don't know if that's the case with like women's running shoes. Like, what was it? The Peg 35 that had front and rear separated Zoom airbags. I think the 36 was the first full air unit. 35 had front and rear. I believe the women's also had front and rear as well. It's not like the women's only had one of the two. So I think that there are some differences that are more like anatomic, but I don't think that there are really large differences between the shoes. But, I don't know. And I think I'd have to ask someone, with working experience in the industry. Dr. Funk says, speaking of Crocs, what is a midsole on Crocs? Can you do a Shrek Crocs review? I don't think I'm going to do that. But I think it's EVA. I think that's what's in there. Or McGowan, what's the worst carbon fiber plated shoe you have tested? Hyperion Elite 1. And Browning says, hallelujah, Mike has the hair and beard for the Jesus shoes. I suppose. Asian Jesus. There we go. I could do it. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, Amir, as I know the Peg 37s have an actual difference between the men and the women's. Yeah. Yeah, but I don't know if there's any other like things that are very different. I mean, I'm saying like it's only the heel drop and only the lasts that might be different, but like, no, I mean, those are two pretty big different things, I guess. So I don't know. Johnny says Jesus shoes are supposed to be good for running on water, and I do like running on water, so maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll get it. I don't know. All right. Scott says, just popped in to say hi. Did my first all snow trail run today in the South Mountains in New Jersey. Nice work, Scott. Awesome. Hopefully you had a fun time out there. All right. Let's get one more and then I'm going to get going for today. Let's see. Dr. Funk says, we'll do two more questions because I see two right down here. What are predictions for the Peg 38? Pretty much the same thing, but with different upper. I think they're going to say it's the exact same thing with just a different upper. I feel like I'm not going to like the upper. I think I'm going to be very angry about the upper because it looks puffy. It looks like it's going to be hot. So I am worried that it's going to be like the Peg 35. That was like it was like running in like couch upholstery material. It was hot. It was very, very hot. The shoe looked great, but the upper material was not that easy to live with in the summer. So I have a feeling I'm not going to like the upper on the Peg 38. I'm sure it'll work, but like I'm going to complain about it. I have a feeling, even though they're going to say that they haven't changed or it's the same midsole as the 37, I have a feeling they're going to make that midsole a little bit softer in the 38. So I think overall I'm going to really like it. That's my prediction. And then last question for today. Keehan Higgins says, Supco. It's an interesting name, Keehan Higgins. Says, Supco, what's your philosophy on tempo runs? Like 7 out of 8 out of 10 intensity, training for our first marathon in May. So my feeling on tempo runs is I don't like when people are like, it should be like a 7 or 8 out of 10. I'm like, what's 10? I don't know what 10 is. Like a 40-yard dash or like 100 meters. Like, I don't know. I think I kind of run each of those a little bit differently. Even though both of those are like all out sprints. But like I have a hard time with like that. Here's how I understand tempo runs. I think this is probably like a very difficult way of understanding it too, if you have no idea what tempo means. I put it at that lactate threshold. And it's the tempo, it's the speed that your body can maintain for about 40 to 60 seconds before you were just, after that, your body would kind of not shut down. You wouldn't like collapse and die, but like your legs would just be shot. You could take a break, you could take in more gels, but your legs really wouldn't be able to run fast anymore. So 40, 60 minutes, it'd be a very rigorous effort. If you don't know and that's kind of like what I know it as, I know what my heart rate is going to be for doing that. I know what pace that kind of feels like. I know what it feels like having done it before. having run races where I've bonked after about an hour, you know, I know like what pace was I running for that hour, and that's how I can kind of back figure that out. The other way to figure that out is it should be somewhere between your half marathon pace and your 10K pace. And then if you don't know that, if you have a 5K pace that you can go off of, then you can use like a chart to figure out if your 5K is this, what do you think your half marathon and 10Ks would be? Pick a pace that's somewhere in the middle between that. And so that's the intensity it should be, that level of effort. And then the pace will depend on conditions, whether it's hilly or not, windy, that kind of thing. But that's kind of like where it should be. And I generally like them in long-ish bouts, depending. If I'm doing marathon training, like you say you are, then what I would look for is doing like 10 minutes on, 3 minutes off, doing that maybe 3 times for within a much longer run. So let's say you got a 10-mile or 13-mile run in the middle of it somewhere, do 10 minutes on, 3 minutes off, 10 minutes on, 3 minutes off, and then 10 minutes on, 3 minutes off. And then build up. And then maybe the next time you do 12 minutes in 3, so that's like a nice 15-minute block. So 12, 3, 12, 3, 12, 3. And then maybe next time you do like 15, 3, 15, 3, like just 2. I generally look at getting like anywhere between like 30 and 40 minutes of tempo time in a run. So that's my very long-winded answer to that. So that's kind of how I do it. All right. But you know, lots of people do it very, very different ways. But for me, the thing that I think is the most important, and people will disagree with this a lot, but the thing I think is most important for marathon training, one is aerobic base, lots and lots of miles, being able to run a lot of miles without hurting yourself. And then after that, spending a lot of time at that lactate threshold. So that's kind of where I put it. All right. So hopefully that is helpful. Kian says, I got it. Appreciate you pronouncing my Korean first name. Father is white. Oh, well, nice. Well, that makes sense then. That's where you get the Higgins. Awesome, Mr. Higgins. Hopefully you're doing well today. I think that's a good place to end it for today. I already talked about tomorrow's video, so hopefully that'll be a good one. I'm gonna be looking at some of like my data afterwards on that one, so it won't be just kind of like, you know, me talking and narrating the run. We'll take a look at some of the heart rate and tracings and stuff like that, get a little bit deeper into it, and like what I'm looking for when I'm looking after a run. So we'll do that, and then we'll do a Monday mukbang. I've got some fun stuff for the Monday mukbang tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully I'll see you guys then, 3 p.m. Central Time, same place. In the meantime, be safe out there, everybody. Thanks.